Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this video where I'm going to be talking about how to start a nurse recruitment agency. So, this isn't specific to any country, any region, whether you're going to do it part time or full time. I'm going to give you the bare bones on how to start and probably the best way to go about it. Also, how much you can actually make from this sector as well. So, what I'm going to cover in this video is what you're going to need in terms of back office, administration part, the difference between temp and perm in the nurse recruitment, what insurance you're going to need, the demand, what sort of, I'm going to give you the insight into what I found operating in this sector, what works well, what doesn't, what's difficult, etc. The easy clients to start with, or the easiest clients to start with, how to obviously scale your agency once you get started. And we're going to be looking at projected income. Now, that's a touchy subject because it depends on who's actually the recruiter and who's running the business, but I can give you some projections so you're going to know what to do and how much you're going to actually make. So setting up your agency, the first thing you want to do is obviously just pick your name of your business. Now what you can do is you can go into, whether you're in the UK, you can go into Companies House, you can do a search of a name. Also, you can go onto GoDaddy and you can do a domain name search, which will be your website and where you're going to purchase it from. I've made videos on the past about this, going into details on all of these points. So by all means, look on my channel, and I've just make videos on recruitment basically. So in terms of your niche, what you're going to be picking is, although you're a nurse agency, there are many different sort of subcategories within nursing. Midwifery would be one, for example. We're going to touch on those in a second. The location is very important. Do you want to be a UK based? Do you want to be a global recruitment agency, or do you want to be just recruiting in your local area? Obviously, I'm going to touch on what the advantages and disadvantages of those are shortly. So the temp and perm as well. So you're either doing temporary recruitment where you're just filling a desperate need, so they need a nurse urgently for a short period. That might be one day, it might be an afternoon, or it might be a rolling contract for 3 months. Permanent is obviously you're recruiting for permanent members of staff. There is a difference. There's a difference in ways we get paid and pay candidates as well. I run a permanent recruitment agency pretty much in nursing, healthcare, but I think permanent works better for me, but temporary obviously probably makes more money and there's a huge demand. After that, once you've decided on what you're going to do, temp and perm, I would suggest do both, because you might speak to a client and they have a requirement for both. So be set up for both. I would advise starting with perm 100%, even if you have experience, simply because you can cash flow the business very easily and there's not an extra running cost of insurance, which we'll get to. So website you're going to have made. You can either make it yourself using Wix, you can use WordPress. There's so many different features and functions out there. You're definitely going to need a business email address. So in terms of the business email address, you can buy it from Microsoft Outlook, so Outlook 365, or Gmail, which is called Workspace, is what I recommend. You're definitely going to need a LinkedIn page, so you're going to need one for your business, so a company profile, and you're also going to need one for yourself as a recruiter. If you're working for a company and you don't want anyone to know, use a different name, make a different page, whatever you want to do, or just abbreviate your name as well off that. So insurance you're going to need in the UK. I know you're going to need public indemnity and employee liability insurance. The cost of that, you're looking at probably a yearly cost of around 1,000 to 1,500, depending on who you go with, what sort of cover you want up to. But speaking to the insurance providers, they'll obviously give you a better indication of how much it's going to cost, and depends on the time of the year, etc. So with permanent recruitment, you do not need insurance, but temporary, you definitely 100% you legally do. You're also going to need an umbrella company if you're with temporary recruitment. I've made videos on these in the past. With umbrella companies, what you're going to be looking at is having somewhere where they can actually pay your staff, so you don't have to pay them out of your own pocket, because you can have a massive £10,000 a week bill, but an umbrella company will pay that for you and send you the profits in a nutshell, and they'll run payroll and everything like that. They'll also provide you paperwork. Contracts are on my website. There's a link in the description, so if you want to use those, feel free to do so. Just do a search on the website. And Getting into niches, like I said, we'll delve into it. So niches isn't a massive topic in nursing because it is a niche in itself, but you want to make sure you're either got to operate geographically or start off geographically. So you might want to say, look, I just want to recruit for nurses in London and have it like that, and then later on I will grow and I'll expand. Or you might just work in your hometown or your city off of that. Nurses, obviously, like I said before, there isn't just nurses. There's midwife, there's ICU, there's infection control nurses, dental, veterinary. I mean, don't overlook the veterinary sector. That's probably one of the easier sectors to get into and start to operate in. So if you've got a love for animals, it's more high paid as well. So a lot of people are in that sector simply because of that. In terms of your scope, you might want to obviously start off small, and there, believe me, there's a demand for every single sector. So don't think, oh, if I just dumb down and I just recruit for ICU nurses, you're not really, you're definitely going to be in demand, especially in this climate. But any sector within nursing is absolutely brilliant as well. So temp and perm, what we're looking at for permanent is a much higher demand from companies. So companies actually want permanent members of staff. The reason they're pushed into using temporary staff is because there isn't a permanent staff and they just need temporary cover to cover shifts. Nowadays there's a lot more temporary positions, but I think it's going to die down once all the dust settles off of the virus off that. With the sort of fees you're looking at for nurses, you'll be looking at anywhere from about £4,000 to about £6,000 as an average conservative. I think that's quite a low estimate. So if you find a nurse a position, you're probably looking at about £3,000 to £7,000 in fees. So really and truly, you will make more than the average person does in the UK a year if you just make one placement a month or 12 a year. You could probably get away with making 10 a year. So it's not a sector that's very low paid. It's not a sector that's extremely high. But if you're looking to just become a freelance recruiter or run a small agency from home, this is an amazing sector to be in. Temp fees, you're looking at, I mean, this is profit, not with, that's not the sort of gross margin. This is profit. You're looking at anywhere from £2 at the lowest end. Anything less than that, there must be really high volume or the client is really cheap and they've done you over. So you're looking at sometimes about £6-7 per hour. That goes up for weekends and nights as well. And with that, in terms of the clients, now I just want to explain this because there's a lot of numbers on here. In terms of clients, which one's easiest to acquire, I've rated them out of 10. So 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. So care homes is probably a very safe bet. The fees associated with it are around 10 to 15%. So for a nurse, you'll be looking at anywhere from 10 to 15%. And this is going off, I recruit in all these sectors, by the way. So I'm just going off what I have on my desk and what I speak to clients with daily. Private hospitals are really good. I find them better than care homes as well. The one I haven't added on here is the NHS. For that's a whole different topic in itself. Private hospitals, you're looking at 10 to 12%. Animal sector, I've got one client in the sort of veterinary sector. I haven't delved too much into it. I've just done like 2-3 small campaigns, and they're pretty good. They only use it for sort of veterinary nurses, but I haven't delved into actual vets or anything like that. Dental sector, great. There's a lot in it. I don't know too much about it. I've only got 2 clients in that sector as well. But you can get really high fees in it. I don't, but you can get really high fees. Per pharma is another one, and research go kind of together. I've got a really good client on quite a high percentage in the pharma sector. Community as well is probably one of the easiest, along with care homes, to actually win business. So nurses that go out to people's home, fantastic. That's something you want to aim for. That's a sector in itself. Schools, colleges, most of them have nurses, especially special educational needs, because there's obviously a demand there as well. So look at that. You're looking at a percentage of around 10 to 15%. That's what you should be aiming for and charging with that. So how would you go about getting your first client? Now, the first thing you need to do is watch my 2 to 8 rule. That explains everything. There should be a video card on the screen, so you can click that. If not, go on my channel and have a look. You can operate this business 100% winning business through cold email and schedule a call. I had a call this morning, off the back of a cold email yesterday. They said, "Look, I got your email. It was forwarded on to me. Can we have a chat?" Had a chat, talked about the sector, and then yeah, we're gonna hopefully move to contract soon. I've sent it for a review, and I know there's going to be one or two things that they wanted to discuss, and then yeah, well, that's going to be my new client. Um, Cold calling does work. I cold called this morning as well, actually, specking out a candidate, and yeah, it does work. But 100%, you can just use purely cold email, and you'll be fine. Most people that I coach under my mentor program, pretty much all of them have gone into the sector and really doing well. Pretty much all of them, and they've all done it through cold email. I don't think anyone is cold calling in this sector. Um, as well. It's an easy sector to win business in as well, and it's hugely reliant on agencies. And I'm going to tell you why it's hugely reliant on agencies. Now, if you get a nurse, let's take a finance manager. He sits at his desk all day. Well, no disrespect, but he probably sits at his desk most of the day, and he doesn't really do too much. Now, he's going to be on calls. He's going to be on emails. He's easier to reach. A nurse wouldn't have time to sit at a computer and try to interview candidates, try to call them. It's nigh impossible. So it really and truly, they rely heavily on agencies, and it's not the easiest sector to recruit in terms of finding a good specialist nurse. So good luck to them if they're trying to do it by themselves, but it's nigh impossible to do it. So in terms of that, it's a very easy sector because the clients rely on agencies. You only have to look. You only have to go on Indeed. I've done it before the call. Actually, let's do it now. If you just type in nurse, you get 42,000 results. Now, that's a huge number in terms of jobs out there. So you're looking at a massive market as well with that. So there's a lot of competition. There's not a major, it's not heavily a saturated sector, nursing, because a lot of people are put off. You don't have to be CQC registered. You don't need to have any specialist qualification in the UK. You can pretty much just recruit in it. So candidates on that side, there is a skill shortage, and that's going to be the major issue in this sector. You can win business, no problem. Anyone can do it. It's not difficult at all. If you can't win business and you're following my method, something has definitely gone wrong with that, because I can win a client every single day, no problem. The volume is there of candidates as well. Now, the demand is there on the side of them needing everyone needing nurses, especially now, and it is location dependent. So I do a lot of business in Wales, and Wales has a lot of skill shortage in terms of just general sort of support worker staff, you know, social care staff, and I've got a massive cluster up there in the sort of north south of Wales. So it is location dependent. So if you've picked a location, let's say, I don't know, a rural town in Ireland, and you're not getting any traction, you need to just change your location as well. And the other thing is, there is a skill shortage of nurses, but there is also a huge demand of people graduating. There is a huge amount. So 16,000 people graduated in 2017. 2018, about 17,000 people graduated, and 2019 was the same as well, just slightly higher, but it's going up every year. 18k in about 2020 as well. Now, this is real data, so you can go and Google it for yourself. There are 18,000 new nurses coming onto the scene. I don't know what the attrition rate is, but there are new nurses coming in. It's not like it's developers where it's completely dead, no one's graduating. Overseas is another thing. So a lot of people come over from overseas as nurses, so that bumps up the numbers heavily as well. If you want, there is a sector where you can recruit overseas people. That's a huge topic in itself, but I'm not going to get into. In terms of finding candidates, I find advertisements work best for nurses. They prefer to look, see, and just apply. They don't really like the outreach too much, unless it's on LinkedIn and they got all the details. And they're very conscious of, hours. It has to suit them. And yeah, Facebook groups actually do really well. So yeah, they're probably the three best ways to actually attract candidates as well. But adverts on job websites will work perfectly. Now we're going to touch on the money sector. This is a broad estimate. Month one, on a temp and perm, you're looking to make nothing actually. So that's like 0 to 1 month. You're going to be getting your main focus is on in month 1 to 3 is building up your client base. Now you're probably not going to make too much. You can do really well. I know people that make up to 5 figures easily in their first month. People have done it. I had someone that made probably more than I ever made working for myself in 1 month, and that was his first month or second month. So that people do really well, and it was in this sector, by the way. So you're looking at anywhere from about 2k. Month 3, you're looking at about 5k on the top end, and then you're looking at that should be £1,000. You've got money coming in month 3, and that's rolling on. So you're not really doing too much. It's quite passive in terms of the temp, and then the temp you can be looking at anywhere from 10k upwards off of that. On perms, you're looking at maybe top end in your first year making 18k in 1 month. So this is the per month sort of sector. 5k after month 6, you should be making at least one or two placements with that, your projection wise. So in total, year 1, I don't want to seem like those cheesy job adverts, but you probably make on the low end about 30k. Now that's part time. If anyone's making 30k and they're working their socks off, you could probably do much better than that, and you could probably make £250,000 if you're serious, you're a good recruiter, you know the market well, and you've won some really good clients. So that sums up the sort of money aspect. It's very broad. I just wanted to give you some sort of indication as well. So yeah, in terms of that, I hope this video has been helpful with that. If you do want to book a call with me, you can go on cadsmoney.com. There is a section where it shows my availability. By all means, go on there, book when you're ready. If any part of this video wasn't clear, leave a comment below. And yeah, thanks for watching.